The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSR TV, your home for sim racing.
In the booth, myself, Austin Cube, alongside me, it's going to be Michael Grillia and Andrew Cardinal. He's going to be your producer tonight in the LSR TV crew, and we have 3 races left here in the championship in the chase to find out who will be our champion in this series. Michael, we've been covering a lot of races since the beginning of this, and after 26 races, we're going to be having our 27th race of the season, and what a long road we've had. We've had 6 drivers that are currently able to get the championship. It's Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, Bobby Terrell, Jamie Walker, Scott Formosa, and Scott Simley. And these guys are definitely going to be extremely hungry tonight, as they have always.
Yes, indeed, and it has been a long season. We've seen a lot of ups and downs across these 27 races we've had so far. And for it to come out, these 6 drivers are very strong 6 for your championship tonight, especially. This is going to be the middle race of the final cutoff before the last race of the chase. And it's basically setting yourself up for being able to get in that good spot to clinch yourself a spot for the final round, basically. Because Martinsville, we saw last week, was very tough for some drivers. The setup was very tough, and we had a lot of incidents there. But moving on to Texas right here, you see it's a little bit wider. People are going to have a lot of more room tonight. So being able to get that track position and stay up front is going to be key tonight, and especially key trying to accumulate as many points as they can heading on into Phoenix next week.
When we look at the point standings, it's no win and you're in. You have to still finish all these races. You still have to get all the points for the next 2. Christian Peterson won last week's Martinsville race with Seth the Merchant right behind him. And those 2 are only separated by 1 point, and there's only 1 more point to Bobby Terrell. So the top 3 drivers are only separated by a few points. So that's really big tonight. If any of these guys have a problem, that's gonna be really gonna hurt their chances of making it into the final race at Homestead. Because only 3 drivers make it, and the other 3 go home. So Jamie Walker currently finds himself 3 points out of the championship and 5 points behind, and then you've got Scott Formosa and Scott Simley. They've got some big holes to fill tonight. They need to win tonight, at least to try and be in charge of their own destiny. But we've seen some fast speed from Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant. And Bobby Terrell did kind of surprise last week at Martinsville. It was, I think, a good surprise for him to see him do so well. And Scott Simley, he's had the past 2 championships. He's at the bottom of the barrel right now. And if he does not have a good race tonight, he will be probably going home next week if he does not get a good race tonight.
Yeah, indeed he will, but he definitely has to get Martinsville. He struggled a lot, got a lot of front end damage, a lot of damage to the truck overall, and he just had a rough night there. So looking at bounce back tonight and looking at where he is on the charts right now, he's right about mid pack, about 10th in qualify right now at a 30.621. So not quite getting off to a good start today, trying to bounce back, but he's a former champion, so he definitely knows how to get it done here. And just kind of looking at your qualifying so far. It looks as though all but 1 driver has taken a time. The 1 driver hasn't taken a time is Steve Herring. But other than that, Jamie Walker is sitting on pole right now, so he's just trying to bounce back and get all those 3 points and maybe the top 3 in points.
The qualifying will wrap itself up, and once again, Jamie Walker gets another pole. He's got, I think, over 30 poles in this league. He's been known to start at the front quite a bit. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's racked up so many it's hard to count for this season, and I believe that would be his 6 pole just this season. So that's 7. Sorry, 7 poles this season. So the 7th pole for Jamie Walker this season. I don't think I've seen anyone do that in a league like he has. So he'll start from the pole with a 30.398. Only driver to crack into the threes on the pace. And Seth Merchant, he'll start to his outside in the number 57. Bobby Terrell will start 3rd with Bob Gillenwater starting 4th, and then Tommy Ryan will start 5th on the grid.
And just behind him is going to be Ralph Vandervorst in 6th, Dwayne Dunn in 7th, Greg Mall 8th, John Jenkins in the number 91 is going to be 9th, Scott Simley, we talked about him earlier, is going to be starting 10th, Jody Green 11th, Matt Mara 12th, Scott Formosa 13th, Randy Yoakum 14th, Christian Peterson having a struggle in qualifying. He's going to be 15th, second to last of those who qualified, and just behind him, the qualifiers is Jeff Ryan, the last one to take a time, and Steve Herring did not take a time, and is going to start 17th.
Gonna look top to bottom at your LSR TV starting grid, and we'll take a look at this Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, just like a lot of the other NASCAR circuits, it's going to be a 1.5-mile oval, but something that's unique to this track in particular is how rough it is. Now, in real life, they've had the repave and reconfiguration with the different banking, the wider track. This is the older track, and so it's still very rough, and basically your go-to corner is turn number 2. It can make or break your runs, and Michael, we've seen this happen in even our own races in RSR, that Texas is pretty much turn 2 can eat you up if you are not careful. So these drivers will see the same thing. They got more weight on the front of the truck and a little bit less turning ability in these trucks. So really going to be fun to watch these guys run here, and really looking forward to see which one of these drivers starts to pull away, or if we see something surprise. Let's say Christian Peterson maybe not even get up there in the top 5.
Yeah, Christian's going to have a hard time getting to the front as he's starting 15th. But yeah, you said Texas is very deceptive in a lot of areas. Like you said, turn 2, the banking just kind of falls away on you as you're exiting the corner, so it's really easy to get loose and just be unstable coming off the corner. So be able to keep that thing straight come off of turn 2 is going to be really important. And 3 and 4, the wall just comes up so quick on you on the exit, so that'll also be key tonight. So watch this. Hang on the exit of the corner as we're coming to get the green flag.
Before we get the green flag, we want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight on LSR TV. And Jamie Walker, he will get to command these guys to the green flag.
Green.
The green flag is displayed. Green flag in the air. And Jamie Walker will take his Mountain Dew Chevrolet to the front. He's got a lot of hungry drivers behind him. They go down in turn number 1, and Jamie Walker will look to try and hold on to that lead. But a hard, strong outside maneuver by Seth the Merchant. Not quite there. He'll hang in tow. And we will get racing for 167 laps here at Texas.
I don't think Seth the Merchant, as he goes back to the outside of Jay Walker in the 3s. He sends it in really deep to the middle of the corner to see if he can get the drive off the exit. Usually try to use that high side momentum to power past, but looks as though Jamie's going to hold on for right now, as Seth just has a little bit of a quarter panel alongside Jamie Walker, slowly heading off into turn 1. So Seth trying to use that high side to keep his momentum up, but there's nothing doing there. He's just going to fall back in line and stay single filed out. Most of the front 5 pack has single filed out for the most part. They go back to where Ralph Vandervorst is. He's side by side with Greg Mall for the 7th spot. So early on, just seeing the top guys try to single it out right now. There's a few battles here and there, just trying to get single out.
Lap 1 and lap 2 will go to Jamie Walker, and I'm already seeing something different between these first couple guys. Seth the Merchant's apexing a little bit later, even though he's coming into the turn a little bit lower. So it's really interesting to see that. You can see actually Jamie Walker is starting to get towards the wall a little bit quicker. Just kind of something to note that they're doing some different lines here, possibly getting some different tire wear on these machines as well. No side-by-side battles until you get to John Jenkins and Scott Simley. Simley has actually had 9th position before that, but now he's got the 91 underneath him. He's looking for some right here, but Simley's going to try and power back on the outside. Mara's right behind him, and Mara doesn't know where to go. He's got 2 drivers right in front of him that are side by side going to turn 1.
Yeah, Mara's just kind of sitting back trying to figure out which lane's going to go for him. He had a great run last week, finished top 5 at Martinsville, so looking to get some more this week, trying to move up into the top 10 right here. But you see, look ahead, Scott Simley is going to almost take that spot going off into 3. He had a little bit of a run down the backstretch, but wasn't quite able to clear John Jacobs on the inside. But that Traxxas 68 machine is going to hold on tough on the outside. Bit of ground there to John Jenkins, so maybe the outside just isn't quite there yet. Maybe the bottom has to get heated up just a little bit longer before the outside becomes really dominant. But right now, as though everyone's pretty even for the most part.
Still side by side with those two drivers right now, and got to wonder which one of them is going to break, because they're only holding up Matt Mara and then Christian Peterson. Of course, he started in the 15th position. He's up 2 positions already. Not really surprised, as he's very, very fast in these trucks, and he can definitely make a lot of work happen in these trucks. Trying to figure out maybe what's best for his truck right now when he's in traffic. So as these drivers still go side by side, John Jenkins still in the bottom and Scott Sibley still in the top, and these guys are the only ones battling for position. There's no other side by side battles. Everyone else is trying to kind of smooth themselves out and get their tire wear their tires as easily through the corners as possible. These two, one of them's going to have an issue. It's more than likely going to be John Jenkins whenever it gets down to it, because he's got on the bottom. He's got to make that thing stick. Got to put a little bit more wheel into it to make sure it at least gets through the corner on the bottom. But he also said the same about Simley not being able to arc it through the corner as well. And both of these drivers are going to be using that right front a lot more.
Indeed, they will, and just doing that, being side by side for a long time, will wear that right front, as you said, and that's gonna be a key tire on the truck. You see, look behind the battle with Scott Simley and John Jenkins. This is Christian Peterson, number 23. He's right there, just going past Matt Mara for that to move him up another spot after qualifying 15th, up into the top 10. Maybe go 3 wide with Scott Sibley and John Jenkins. But yeah, as you're saying, that right front's going to be really crucial to these guys, especially on exit, because if you just keep that right front on it, you'll be able to turn so much better on the exit compared to other drivers. As you see, you're just up ahead. John Jenkins does take that spot away from Scott Sibley. He defends to the bottom just to hold on to that spot, and looks like he'll hold on to it now. But Christian Peterson is going to peek to the inside of Scott Sibley now, so now he's starting to work over Sibley, who's just getting stuck on the outside. He's been out there for most of the race, and now Peterson will definitely secure that spot and look for more on John Jenkins across the line there, complete lap 9.
Christian Peterson going to try to get 2 right here, going the bottom, and you got Scott Sibley. He's going to try and get the 91 to John Jenkins. It look like he's going to definitely get the work, or get the job done right there. And hey, look, those two are going to go right back at it. Now Sibley's on the bottom, and John Jenkins is on the top. Role reversal with those two, but they lost the position in the whole grand scheme of things. So we'll see if those two are able to continue to battle. Scott Sibley now has Matt Mara right behind him, right in his clutches, and now we go single file, and it's kind of, at this point, I'm curious to see which driver starts to really stride better. And if you're Christian Peterson, you did not want to start that far back, especially with his green flag. Only 10 laps, of course, in the books, but with these guys so spread out, only side-by-side battles are going to really cause any cautions right now, and I don't really see much of that happening. I don't see any drivers getting close to another, and in fact, actually looking at Dwayne Dunn, he is getting closer and closer to Bob Gillenwater, but he didn't go high in that corner, so we'll just have to see what exactly is going to transpire. But fairly calm. Definitely a big difference between this week and last week. It looks like Dwayne Dunn is starting to catch Robert Gillenwater there off the backstretch, but a lot calmer. These guys are being a little bit more methodical this week with their approach to the racing, and that it kind of makes sense because they were at a much larger track. Yeah, the different track size has a big factor in that as well. Also, just trying to see the distance these guys are running, 167 laps. So each of these guys probably have to make 3 pit stops every 41 or 2 laps, every 41 laps. So it's just going to be just riding out for the most part. Plus, it's also very tough to pass here. It's very wide here, but as you saw earlier, with the Scott Sibley battle with John Jenkins, these guys were stuck side by side for the longest time. They couldn't do anything with each other, and especially when this bottom gets rubbered in, try to hit the bottom right, you still have the issue of being pitched down by the outside lane and trying to get pressure from the bottom. So it's very to this run. So just trying to keep that track position is really key for these guys. Well, it appears that the number 4 of Robert Gillenwater has just disappeared off the track, and so that'll give 5th place to Dwayne Dunn, and everyone behind him will get a spot as well. I've no idea if he's going to return to the track, but his car disappeared, and he's now currently scored dead last on the grid, so 17th is where you can put him. And Dwayne Dunn was right there looking to get him, but all of a sudden he was gone, and so unsure what's going to happen. He's now scored 1 lap down, so he's not registering. It's almost like he might be out there in his sim, his personal sim, but the transponder is not giving the sim the information, and we are not seeing him on the track. So we will probably see a throughput loss on his end here in a short bit, if that is the case, which it most definitely is. But we'll keep our eye on it and see what's going on with him. As looking at Tommy Ryan, he's starting to catch the driver in front of him. That's going to be Bobby Terrell.
Yeah, Ryan's been slowly creeping up on Bobby Terrell. He's been running almost similar lap times to Jimmy Long. This time by, Ryan ran to 9:42 compared to Jamie at 9. So Tommy Ryan definitely has the pace to get to lead. It's just trying to get to these front four. Bobby Terrell, Seth Merchant, and Walker. But he's just been kind of easing in on Bobby Terrell. Bobby last week just snuck his way into a top 5 finish right there at the end. And Tommy Ryan was competitive last week as well. So both these drivers are going to keep the momentum this week as they're looking for a good, solid top 5 finish. And so at that time by, he gained time. Tommy Ryan did. So he's definitely got the speed to do it. Will he be able to hold it to that right front? And it's only lap 15 in the run, but that's where usually where you see where the tire wear comes into effect. Usually the ones who are faster right front this time have held on to the right front longer than everyone else. So being able to watch him, Walker is really key. So be able to keep an eye on that.
Jamie Walker continues to lead with about half a second of a lead, and you're talking about pit stops were coming around the 40 lap mark or what, and I was kind of expecting Jamie to be on the gun a little bit, a little bit quicker on pace, and it's now starting to get back at him a little bit. He just lost a tenth right there to Seth the Merchant, and Jamie is below the cut line, so he would not make it if the race ended today, even if he won right now, because Bobby Terrell is just close enough. You don't get any bonus points for these wins. You don't get a pass into the next round. You have to beat him on points. And so he would literally lose by 1 point if they finished where they were right now. So Bobby Terrell, he's got Tommy Ryan all over his back bumper, so he's got to be careful. But Jamie Walker as well. He's the only thing he can do is try and win this race and make sure he's at least trying to be ahead of everyone else, so he can at least be a little bit more in control of his own destiny next week. But at this point right now, he is starting to pull away a tiny bit from Seth the Merchant. But Bobby Terrell and Tommy Ryan, that's a battle that I'll be interested in, because if then Tommy Ryan passes him and then there's another spot between them, then they be tied. I'm curious how they would go about breaking the tie.
Yeah, I think they resort back to wins, but like I said, you have to go back to the league about that one. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that tie actually did occur, because that'd be really interesting to see how it all plays out, especially with the cut line, especially if they're on the cut line, and then it goes to that, because one driver can get in, one driver would stay out just because of that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see indeed. But yeah, you look up to the front, these top four are closing all together. Right now, your top four are separated by 0.5 of a second, then back to Dwayne Dunn at 5th, about 1.5 seconds. So yeah, Jamie's just kind of losing pace right now. He's running about 32.4 as compared to a 32.3 from the Merchant, a 32.2 from Terrell, and a 1. And as you look back up front, Seth Merchant's picking the inside right there of Jamie Walker for the lead right there. So it looks as though Jamie just hasn't been able to hold to his right side tires long enough as we came by to complete lap 20. So it's right about the middle of the run. So I don't know if he's just saving still or not, or these guys are pushing it, or just maybe he's fell off that much on the pace. So I don't know. Just be to see how it's back in the next few laps.
Going down the back straightaway into turn number 3, Seth the Merchant does appear to have the faster track right now, and I think he just has just much more exit bite. But right now, Jamie actually does look like he had a good exit as well. But the Merchant does look a little bit better still, even coming out of turn 4. But right there, that lap, Jamie Walker was just a tiny bit faster. But overall, the Merchant does appear to be right there. He's right over the back decklet of the number 88. He makes a mistake instead of the throttle. The Merchant has to do the same thing, and he had the momentum before turn number 2 to make the move. Now he's going to take it into turn 3, and he's going to go down to the bottom. They'll go side by side for the lead, and the Merchant hits that white line on the very bottom and scoots up just a little bit. 88 still on the top side, has the momentum, and it's going to be the 88 who has the advantage still at the line. He's led every single lap so far, all 22 of them. The Merchant is not going to give up. He's still on the bottom as they continue to go side by side, but I think through turn 2, we'll go to the number 57 right here. Yes, he's going to get a good charge through. It's hard to keep that top side on turn number 2, and so Seth the Merchant will become your new leader, and that's on lap 23.
Yeah, the Merchant does go to lead right now, and you see also behind them, Bobby Terrell's looking for second right now. As Jamie's still struggling, you see him get tight off every corner, especially off turn 2. It's really most of his time. Now he's still side by side. There's a little bit of time now. Seth Merchant just took the lead for about 2/10 right there to separate the two. But yeah, Bobby Taylor looks like he'll have that. Jay Walker's just going to fall in line behind Tommy Ryan. He's basically given up at this point and realized he doesn't have the truck right now at this point, so he's trying to hold on to his tires. And in saying that, Tommy Ryan's going to look to the inside of Bobby Terrell. So he's been closing up on Terrell for the longest time, but now he's finally got the chance to attack. He's even up with him as they come out before, but just you see right there, Terrell's just hold on to momentum right there as Tommy just gets a little bit loose right there on the inside. So now maybe that outside's trying to be a factor right now. I don't know if it's just a matter of trying to keep the momentum up and then finally get that bottom side heating up. And I see road right now. Seeing Jay Walker come pit road, so he's just giving up on that. He knows he's burst his tires up. His race tonight, so tough luck for Jamie Walker.
Trying a different alternate strategy and maybe trying to do a reset. We'll have to see if this works out for we've seen him do this dance before where he has come down pit road too early. And so we'll have to see if this bites him again. And a good battle between Dwayne Dunn and Greg Mall right here. And you can throw Christian Peterson into that now too. Those two almost hit doors coming off of turn number 4. It was so close. 12 was able to stay off of him. He's trying the bottom side. Now it's not clear just yet. Greg Mall still stays on the bottom side. He's still in the prime position to make it happen. So he will get around Dwayne here going into turn number 3. And at 4, looks like Christian Peterson's going to try and look to get him as well. But actually wasn't as close as I was expecting. Typically, Christian Peterson's right there on the pounce, but I think he's trying to save his tires for these longer runs as they continue to go side by side. Dwayne Dunn makes a very, very chilling move right there into turn number 1. It really messed up the truck a lot in the handling, and so Christian's actually had a nice run right at turn number 4. Now he's going to have to give that up to John Jenkins on the outside.
John Jenkins looking to make a move on the mistake of Christian Peterson. He's on his outside door right there, trying to hold the momentum on the outside of Christian Peterson, your championship contender. He's got a good run off the corner. They're even up right here as they come across the finish line with that 27. Good to see if John Jenkins get the momentum on the outside of Christian Peterson, but Peterson's trying to hold on to that bottom for right now, and looks as though he might get the run off right there, and he does. For now, will he clear up off the bottom? Yes, he will. So Chris Peterson's on that spot, but John Jenkins wants to go to the bottom once again. He peeked to the inside for a second, but nothing doing there. So he's just going to sit behind him right now. And Chris Peterson back to the 6th spot, but now it's done. Dwayne's trying to use that outside lane. We've seen him earlier in the year, different tracks try to use that outside lane. And so it looks like he's being the predominant one to lead the outside lane. And it looks as though it's kind of working for him right now. As you saw him close up on Greg Mall a few laps ago, and he kind of sends it in there. Tries to arc it out and the kid gets to run off, but he wants the bumps right there through 1 and 2. He should lose that spot to Christian Peterson just for now. Oh, he barely, he got a little bump right there from Dwayne down the exit. He just didn't have enough room ahead of him. He just got a little tap from behind, but Christian Peterson just barely cleared Dwayne Dunn for right now. Not have the spot cleared yet. As they come off turn 4, so Peterson will hold to the spot. So a tight race between Dwayne Dunn and Christian Peterson for that 5th spot.
Dwayne Dunn's got to be really careful here going into turn number 1. He just about hooked, and he's going to hit him. He's going to hit Peterson through turns 1 and 2. And I think Peterson's going to lose a lot of not just ground, but he's also going to lose those tires. That's not good, and Peterson is not happy about that. He basically just got his race possibly thrown away because of how hard it is to withstand those tires, and he may come down pit road this time just because of how long he slid through that corner. Dwayne Dunn absolutely just drilled him, and I'm not sure why you get the throttle at that part of the corner. I mean, he just basically hit him, in my opinion, for absolutely no reason through the corner.
Yeah, it was really odd. I guess Dwayne just wasn't happy when Christian Peterson slid up in front of him a lap or 2 ago. As you look behind Chris Peterson, then I John Jenkins loses 2 spots right there to Scott Simley and Bob Gillenwater on track. But yeah, I guess he just wasn't. Slid up in front of him on the exit of 2 a lap before, so he just gave him the boot and showed his displeasure right there. But yeah, Christian can't be doing this kind of stuff, especially because of contention of the playoffs. So he's got to really be careful around these other guys. They don't really care; they're just going for the win right now. So, and Christian Peterson has to take big pictures. I mean, he lost a lot of time, and he drifted the whole corner, so he lost a lot of tire wear. So I'm interested to see how his pit strategy changes, or if he'll stay on track with the pit strategy of 3 stuff. But yeah, it's just a tough situation there for Peterson.
You got to remember the other drivers who are in this picture. Seth the Merchant, he's 2nd in points but leading, so it's going to definitely give Seth Merchant the lead right now in points. And you got Bobby Terrell, who's in second. So that moves Bobby up to second in points. That moves Christian all the way from first to third already. Then you start to look down the list of Jamie Walker, Scott Formosa, and Scott Simley, and they are still behind him. But this could have a long-term effect. Dylan Waters currently behind him. He's back on track, and looks like these guys are going to be coming down pit road. So Christian Peterson coming down pit road. All these other drivers are too. And Christian's he's actually going to beat the number 39 on entrance right there. The 6 is also pitting. That was one of the drivers we said in the championship was important to note. So Christian getting down to his box, the 6 getting down to his box, and so does the 39. Looks like he's going to slide in and be just fine. So everyone probably going to get 4 tires and fuel. It seems to be the expected call here.
Yeah, that should be the expected call for all these guys. They've got about 33, 34 laps right now. So I guess they're just trying to cut it up in like 4 stops maybe, it looks like, at this rate. But now it's just a waiting game. As you see, Seth the Merchant is on pit road as well as Bobby Terrell. Greg Moll's followed it down as well. John Jenkins, Scott Simley as well. But Scott Formosa has stayed out on track. So now he is your leader if they come up for turn 2. So everyone's been greeted by pit stops here on lap 34 and 35. So it's an interesting strategy. Plus, we also need to note where Jamie Walker is compared to the other drivers of Tommy Ryan, Chris Pearson, those who just came off pit road. Just look at, and Scott Formosa's down on pit road right now. He's just trying to lock him up on a pit road right there. He might not get slowed down, but yeah, it's just an interesting strategy right here. So Jamie Walker, I'm looking at him right now. He's down halfway down the backstretch, and the next closest truck is going to be Seth the Merchant, and he's just coming off turn 2 right now. And so he's got about a half a track lead right now on those by short pitting by 10 laps compared to these guys. So I don't know the strategy for Jamie Walker, but just trying to figure out how he's going to be able to play his strategy is going to be really key, especially with how big of a he's undercut these guys by 10 laps. But will he be able to hold on to that for the rest of the race?
Something important to note, Christian Peterson and Dwayne Dunn made an exchange off of pit road on the back straightaway. Peterson gave Dwayne Dunn a bump on the back straightaway as they were getting off pit road, and they have had some close encounters since then. And I'll tell you what, you don't see Christian Peterson get hit very often, but I have seen him have a few run-ins over the years, and he's not really somebody who retaliates very often. So it was really interesting to see him give him a good bump through the corner, and so they're still right there. And you have to wonder if Dwayne's going to give it back to him. He's right there, right behind him here in 6th and 7th place, and like you said, it's not really something he needs to. Excuse me. It's not something that really needs to be kindled right now, and he needs to try and get as far away from Dwayne as possible, just in quick case Dwayne decides to do something drastic. And this isn't something we typically see in this league. You know, we don't hardly see those kind of those incidents, but you know, these guys are in the cockpit of these virtual race cars, and they do get moments like these, because this could be the end of Christian Peterson's championship hunt if he's not careful. So Christian does have to be careful here, and he's got a little bit of damage on the back end of that truck, so he's got to make sure that he at least is as careful to the tires as possible as he can be. So looking up front though, number 88 of Jamie Walker has a 7.2 lead, and this time looks like it's probably going to be much less. It goes from 7.2 to 6.6 between Jamie Walker and Seth the Merchant. I think Jamie probably just wanted no pressure behind him anymore when he went back out there on the track, and that might be it. But a couple storylines, Jamie Walker and Seth the Merchant, which one of these strategy calls is going to work, and Christian Peterson seeing if he's going to be able to overcome this damage and setback of maybe mentality.
Yeah, that indeed is going to be the 2 storylines we're going to be following here, especially also trying to look at the people who are just trying to maybe steal a win here at the end right now. We said Tommy Ryan's up front right now as he's bound for that. He's just ahead of the 4th spot right there behind Bobby Terrell and Seth the Merchant, so we might have a surprise winner tires and get a good strategy. But one thing I wanted to point out, after the green flag cycle, it looks as though Bobby Terrell has closed back up on Seth the Merchant in the cycle. And as I think he had about a 1.5 seconds back to Seth, but now it looks like he's closed up to about 2/10 right there between the 2 of them. So we're interested to see if Bobby can hold on to Seth the Merchant in the next few laps as the tires start to wear on. But yeah, good strategy. To follow down Seth the Merchant, not wait longer, but just trying to see if he can hold on to success and try maybe even steal the win from him here, as they're still closing out Jamie Walker, who has the 10-lap older tires than these guys. So yeah, just trying to watch out and see if these two could battle it out to the end. They're on the same strategy, so be able to keep an eye on them the rest of the race.
Looking throughout your field, Jamie Walker continues to lead, 5.5 seconds last time, and it goes all the way down to 4.8, so that lead is getting reduced exponentially every single lap. And so then Bobby Terrell finds himself in third, Tommy Ryan's in fourth, and Greg Ball, he's in fifth. Got Christian Peterson and Dwayne Dunn still fighting for that 6th place position. That would put Dwayne 7th, of course. John Jenkins 8th, Scott Simley 9th, and then rounding out your top 10 is going to be Scott Formosa in the number 80 machine. And so these guys are pretty spread out, and with the way pit stops are going, this is, or with the way this race is going, pit stops are probably going to be the most crucial factor of this race. So going back to Dwayne Dunn and Peterson, they are still pretty close, but I also think this is a good opportunity for Dwayne to maybe see what Peterson's doing. You know, not every day you get to and Dwayne's having himself a really good run, and with as good as he's been following Christian, and you can maybe see some of the things that Christian's doing, because he's just so good at getting around these tracks. And I talked to Seth earlier on last week, and he said the one guy that's just barely better than him is Christian. At least that's in his eyes, of course, but if anybody can learn from these guys, this is a good opportunity to do it, since Dwayne's not in the championship. He's got nothing to lose, really, which is why he's racing him so hard, of course, and doesn't have to deal with him in the championship at all. And I think Dwayne's just having a good time. But seeing these guys race here, we're going to probably see a battle for the lead in just about 4 or 5 laps. I think seeing these different strategies, seeing these guys race really hard is something really fun to watch here at Texas Motor Speedway for almost the penultimate race, where only 3 away. And Dwayne Dunn's got a big run on Christian Peterson and looks to the bottom again, but I think Dwayne just knows that passing Christian Peterson after giving him that bump probably just is not going to happen.
Yeah, they're both taking their shots at each other right now, and looks as though they've kind of just settled out for right now. If Dwayne was still upset at him, he'd be charging him to the center of the corner, trying to get his bumper as quick as he can, just using up those tires. But he thinks better of it right now. He should hold on to his spot right now. Like you said, he's learning from Peterson. He's running basically the same lap times as Peterson to come across the line right here. Dwayne hit a 31.905 to Christian Peterson's 31.768, so he lost. But it's just trying to hold on to a spot there, as he's just make a mistake right there. He got really tight off of turn 2. It looks as though Dwayne's gonna get the momentum off the corner, and he's gonna be side by side with him as they go through 3 and 4. And he's gonna actually clear him on the outside for right now. His track position on the outside right now off of 4, and it looks as though once again Peterson makes another mistake ahead of Dwayne. Don't make the mistake and almost get turned off of turn 2, but he makes that same mistake off turn 2, gets tight, really pushing the car hard on the exit, just didn't have the grip, and he had to get out of it. Lost another spot right there for 6th. So Christian's not having a good night tonight. I mean, once again, you're saying not having a good night. He's still in 7th, but trying to stay in contention for the championship, he has to be a little bit higher up and be a little more consistent if he wants to hold on to that championship lead.
Speaking of holding on to the lead, the number 88 of Jamie Walker is still being caught, but not as quickly as he was. Start to look at the deficit between them is getting much smaller just about every single lap, and you gotta kind of wonder what Jamie's been thinking about with his next pit stop, because if it does go green all the way, how do you divide the pit stops? How do you divide the fuel, the tires? Because remember, these guys have a limited fuel cell. They only have 60% of the normal fuel capacity that they would normally have, so it's significantly less. And so with Jimmy being out there for so long, he definitely does not have the tires. He's not going to just lose one position. He's going to lose a bunch of them. He's going to lose positions to Seth Merchant, Bobby Terrell, Tommy Ryan, and quite possibly Greg Mall. If he's close enough, within one swoop. It's not going to take that long for him to get past. Then does he pit again? And that's one of those hard things to really know. Is we've seen Jamie Walker run out of fuel 2 times, once while in the lead and one while in second. So his track record for these fuel runs does not really help him. But at the same time, he has had some of that fresh air. He's seen what the track will do just by himself. Possibly he's thinking of something that we don't know, but man, those guys are catching him in a hurry.
Indeed they are, but the only thing that Jamie really for him is that with his tire model, basically the tires just kind of plateau at a certain point. And for the tires even out, and Seth and Bobby have their tires pretty much the same point, they'll still hit the same lap times even though their tires are still fresher. So they'll hit a point where it's just consistent lap times on both ends. Going for them, as you still see, and Bobby are now within a second, as well as Tommy Ryan's just creeping in on them as well. Greg Ball's actually well in the fifth spot. He's kind of held on to these top four as they're trying to chase down Jamie Walker right now. So just watching these guys, I'm interested to see how much of a fight Jamie tries to put up with Seth and Bobby, Tommy, and Greg. I guess they go by him as a complete lap 51 right there. So now the gap is now down to 0.3 of a second, but now it's just only a matter of when and how will Seth the Merchant get past the 88 Jamie Walker as they head off the.
Bobby's got to be careful too. He's got an opportunity to try and maybe get Seth while he's passing Jamie here. Looks like the Merchant's going to go down to the bottom, and Terrell's going to do his normal arc in the center of the corner. His exit's going to have to be a lot different, I would think. You know, he's going to be able to go all the way up, and so side by side for the lead, they go. The lead will more than likely go right back to Seth the Merchant here on lap 53. But oh, Jimmy actually got that lap by 1/1000th of a second. That's one of the closest lap exchanges we've seen between drivers. Sadly, it wasn't for the win, but we've seen some close finishes here in this league too. So now Bobby's on the bottom side of Jamie, and like Seth just did, it'll be easy work for the Muscle Milk Chevrolet coming out of turn number 4, and here comes Tommy Ryan as well. It's going to be just a train of drivers able to get around Jamie, and then you've got Dwayne Dunn now crossing the start-finish line in 6th. These guys are 2.9 seconds behind, and they're actually catching, or were catching, the leaders by a large amount, but they're going to keep doing battle. Oh boy, that's getting close between those two. Peterson just about turned number 39 and Dwayne Dunn coming out of the corner, but it looks like the number 88 of Jamie Walker is still losing a lot of time here, and he's lost 4th position, and now he's going to come down pit road again. I can't follow this strategy if I was out there. Just is pitting, in my opinion, so often. It may work out, but I can't imagine this is going to work out.
Yes, and now he's pitted on lap 24 and 54. So I'm not quite sure of what he's trying to do. I don't know if every 24 laps is going to get it done for him. We've seen these guys stretch at 34 and 35 laps, and usually the longer stint actually works. But maybe he's just trying to wait for them to catch him, to see how long it take for them to catch back up on fresher tires, and then decide he doesn't want to waste much time battling these guys, so he's just going to go ahead and pit and just kind of be out in fresh air, like we said earlier, like he was trying to do. But the strategy is just really odd for me. I don't know how it's going to play out and see where he's going to file out. But it'll be interesting to see. You keep an eye on him as the night goes on. Your top 4 are separated by 4/10 after having Jamie Walker kind of bunch these guys up. So now Seth the Merchant's your leader. Bobby Terrell is still closing in on Seth the Merchant. He's kept up with him since the green flag pit stops. Tommy Ryan's kind of tucked in there. Greg Mall's actually going for that 3rd spot right now on Tommy Ryan. He looks to the inside as they go through 1 and 2 right now. Spot where their Tommy kind of let him have it right there through 1 and 2. So yeah, moved Greg Mall up to 3rd spot. So great run now. And he might be looking for more on Bobby Terrell as he's still over the back bumper of Seth the Merchant. So we might have a 3-way battle for the lead right here, as Tommy's just kind of struggling right now. And also, we're going to look back to the back with Christian Peterson as well. He looks like he just got past Dwayne Dunn as well. So they're going back and forth for that 5th and 6th spot. So just try to keep an eye on that as well throughout the night. So a lot of good battles on the track right now, even though everyone's really spread out for the most part.
Peterson still is. It does not look like he's having fun in that truck. I mean, I've seen him handle the trucks a lot better, and I've seen Dwayne. This might be one of Dwayne's better runs, and I think these two are. Even despite Christian looking like he's not comfortable in the truck, I think he's still somehow fast. But these guys right here, they're still battling. I think that their battle is still brewing. It's not over yet, especially since every time Christian gets around Dwayne still somehow finds a way to get right back on him. And I think he's just got the determination right now that not a lot of drivers do whenever they get passed by Christian Peterson. So Dwayne's definitely got some resolve to go through, and he's trying some different lines. He's trying a higher side. We talked about that earlier, how he seems to definitely like and prefer some different lines than most drivers, and it sometimes works out for him. And looks like tonight it's definitely doing that. Definitely the same. But I am curious about Greg Mall here coming out of turn number 4. If he's gonna have one of those races like he did at Charlotte, where, and I know he doesn't want to be called a one race hero, but he has won one race this season, and basically all the other races he's had some some top 10 finishes and some outside. Has not really had any great finishes aside from that one win, and I'm sure tonight he wants to try and change that, try and get a top 3, and he's in really good position to do so. He's got Seth and Bobby in front of him. He's definitely in a good position to make something from that. And he also got around Tommy, and Tommy, he's not in the championship, and he won a race earlier this year too. So those two drivers probably looking to try and spoil some things here tonight, as Seth and Bobby are trying to be all business. Instead is getting closer and closer to halfway, about 20 or so laps until then. And I have a feeling we're going to see these guys around lap 65 or 70 when pit stops are rolling around.
Yeah, that's probably when they're going to pit as well. But just trying to look at that strategy as well. So it looks like they're probably do like a 4 stop at that point. Probably 70, 105, and then one more time at like 135 or so. So yeah, that's probably the strategy that might work out for all these leaders. Most of them are on that strategy. I think Seth got torpedoed to the rest of the field by at least a lap or so. But yeah, just trying to call on to that. As you see, Tommy Ryan having a little bit of issue right there with Jamie Walker, who's on fresh tires. Jamie almost ran him over on the exit of 2 right there, just trying to get it through much time as he can on the leaders while he's on those fresh tires. So Tommy just kind of got stuck in front of Jamie right there. Jamie had nowhere to go, so he just kind of sat out in the corner. Now he's looking for Greg Mall on the inside as I head off into turn 1. So Jamie's making his as much time up as he can on those fresh tires. He's on last time he got caught as well. So just trying to extend the gap. And that's one thing you really have to do when you're on these fresh tires. You really can't waste time with these leaders. Even though they are that fighting for the lead, you really can't waste any time with them. You have to get as much of a gap as you can. The bigger the gap, the more likely you're able to hold on for a lot longer, to the point where maybe the tires, their strategy of staying out longer, won't be able to help them get up to you. So just trying to hold on to that track position and get as much time as you can is really crucial for Jamie, as now he's going to unlap himself from Seth the Merchant, maybe off the exit run to the center of the corner. So yeah, the strategy might not be looking good right now for Jamie, but if he can really stretch these tires and make them work for a few laps right here, and might even use Jeff Ryan's pick right here to Seth, but nothing doing there, as he's going to get ahead of Seth before the corner. So if Jamie just stretches these tires long enough, it gets a big enough gap, it might actually end up working out at the end as he's getting this extra pit stop compared to these other guys.
Number 88, Jamie Walker unlaps himself here on lap number 65. That's what the leaders are on. He's still on lap 64, but now he's not one complete lap behind. And I have to think that he is definitely faster, but when these guys do pit, he's not going to be that far ahead of them, but he will be farther ahead of them than he was last time. I think my concern becomes whenever the end of the race starts to happen and he's not going to be able to stretch it, the extra stop, and he's going to have to make an extra stop, and these guys won't. He's the only guy on it, so that either he's going to be a hero or he's going to be a zero. There's not really going to be an in-between on this, and I think that when we see that happen, I honestly don't want to see him have 3 races where he runs out of fuel at the end, but it might be one of those races again, but it might actually pay off for him too, and I think he is really banking on that once more. So Seth Merchant's actually now pulled away just a little bit from, actually not a little bit, but quite a handful of tenths from Bobby Terrell. They're now over 1 second apart from each other, and I think that's really key to note, because Bobby got a lot of time on pit road and was keeping up with Seth, but now big difference is track speed, and I think that's something that we've always seen with Seth the Merchant, is that pit road has just not been quick for him, and we've seen that these drivers are able to get back to him fairly quickly, and we've seen Seth have penalties and not getting his box correctly sometimes, and Bobby might be able to get him if he's able to be better on pit road.
Yeah, and speaking of pit road, Dwayne Dunn just came down pit road as he pulls in from the 6th spot right there. And also coming in, set Christian Peterson as well. So both those guys coming up at the same time once again. So these guys are going to be the first ones to make the green flag pit stops right here on lap 67 going to 68 for these guys. So a little bit earlier than we were expecting. We were expecting around lap 70, 72, 73, somewhere in there. So a few laps trying to get as much time as they can. Leaders, be interested to see if everyone else is looking down on pit road right now. So I believe the 98 Steve Herring's in. Bobby Taylor looks like he's on pit road. A few other drivers, John Jenkins, Scott Simley. So a lot of drivers trying to short pit right here, as well as Tommy Ryan. And that might actually end up hurting Seth the Merchant. As you see, Tommy Ryan actually just slid through his box, so he's going to lose a lot of time right there on the pit stop. But yeah, these guys are trying to undercut Seth the Merchant here a little bit. He's kind of just left out there on his own as you see him come down the pit road right now, blow it down to 50 miles an hour speed limit. So yeah, just trying to see if they can get anything they can on Seth the Merchant as everyone's coming down to make green flag pit stops.
Dwayne Dunn lost a lot of time out there in pit road. There was basically an entire backstretch between those two drivers as Bob Gellenwater was going on the track and almost collided with Tommy Ryan. Tommy had come up the track a little bit from pit road, and I don't think that'll be a penalty for him, but it was very close, quartered between those drivers coming off and on, and those drivers being on the racing surface still. So, seeing these different strategies, we have some drivers pitting a little bit earlier than others now, and I think one driver barely made the pit entrance right there. I think that was Formosa, who had just come down from first place and barely makes it under, I think he made it under 50 miles an hour, but squeaked. Those tires basically destroyed him. But hey, he doesn't need the tires anymore. He's going to get 4 new ones, and he's going to take care of business here. It was a great pit road entrance, but it was very close. And that will, I believe, give Jamie Walker the lead here coming into turn number 1. Scott Formosa continues to be in the pit road.
Yeah, and Scott Formosa gets his service done on his truck. Just trying to see where the gap is right now. So, as timing and scoring fixes itself right here across the finish line, Jamie Walker will take over the lead as Scott Formosa just took his pit stop and is coming off turn 2 right now. So, coming across the line right now is Jamie Walker taking the lead back. Just trying to look back to the gap to Seth the Merchant right now in that second spot across the line. Just ahead of Bobby Terrell as well. Bobby gained up a little bit more time on Seth the Merchant by taking that extra lap compared to Seth the Merchant. So now the gap is 9.5 seconds between Jamie Walker and Seth the Merchant for the top 2 spots. Then Bobby Terrell is 10 seconds behind Jamie as well. Christian Peterson slots himself up by pitting a few laps earlier than Tommy Ryan. So it looks as though he's going to hold onto that spot, and Tommy's going to fall. But it's interesting to see how the different tire strategies are going to play out between those two, as Tommy Ryan had about 2 lap fresher tires compared to Christian Peterson. So it'll be interesting to see how those tires play out as he got a good run off the corner right there. He's getting a lot on Christian Peterson. The gap was almost a second, 2/10. Now it's under 6/10 as they head off to 1 and 2. So that'll be a battle to keep your eye. But yeah, you said Greg Ball also lost a lot of time as well. He's down to the 10th spot behind Dwayne Dunn, and so even Scott Formosa is ahead of these guys too. So Dwayne Dunn and Greg Ball had a really rough pit stop that time. We are documented with Dwayne, but Greg also had a lot of struggles there as well. He's now 25 seconds behind Jamie Walker. So yeah, just a good night right there, just kind of to waste right there as during the green flag pit stops.
The lead between Jamie Walker and Seth the Merchant is still getting smaller as Jamie is getting passed by lap down trucks trying to get themselves back on the lead lap, and he will have some lap traffic in between himself and Seth, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to make a big difference here tonight, as Seth the Merchant is, just like he was at Kansas, is appearing to be really strong here in the middle of the race, and the Merchant, if he's strong now like he was at Kansas, he's going to be basically unbeatable. That's one of the track I've actually never seen him lose, especially in all of the LSR TV races. I don't think I've ever seen him lose in any race I've just ran with him in general. So, Seth is very fond of these tracks in particular and very good in this truck. 6.1 seconds was the gap between those two, and it just continues to get smaller and smaller every time. We'll take a look at it every single lap to see what the difference is, and it goes 1 full second lower. I just can't imagine that Jamie's going to be happy about that. What he will be happy about, though, is that everyone else is starting to lose time. He's losing time to Seth, but I think he's gaining a lot of time on these other drivers that are starting to have issues on pit road. So for him, I think that's at least a good thing. but he needs as many points as possible. And the 3 drivers behind him, they're the drivers he needs to beat. So I think points-wise, this is going to be really hard if he does not get a caution between now and the end of this race.
Indeed, it will be, but maybe Jamie might have to consider maybe stretching one of these stints out and trying to get a level with these guys. As Seth takes another 9/10 of a second out of his lead, now down to 4.2 seconds between the top 2. So stretching it out, if he can do that, maybe about the extra 10 laps that he's been missing compared to these other guys, he might have a better shot of being able to keep up with these guys and stay with them a little bit longer than he has been able to. Because even though he short pitted again on this time, he has almost 16 lap older tires than all the guys around him, as Seth and Bobby and Christian Peterson all pit around lap 68 to 70 compared to Jamie's lap 54. So yeah, it's just a matter of trying to see how the strategy is going to play out for Jamie. Is he going to just settle where he's at right now, maybe just take whatever he gets, or is he have to go to stretch it or hope for a caution to get back on these guys and try and hold up onto track position? That'll be a key story to watch on the rest of the night, as we've been documenting all night. But yeah, I also wanted to point out Christian Peterson is being caught right now by Tommy Ryan for that 4th spot, and the gap's now down less than 2/10 right there, almost a 1/10.5 as they cross the finish line to start lap 79. So yeah, still those tires on Tommy Ryan are working pretty good for him right now. So maybe these guys will start battling here the next few laps if Christian Peterson can't hold on to that 4th spot.
That would be big for Tommy to get around him, but it also would not be good for Christian, because that's one less point he'll have. Right now, if the race was to end, it would be those 3, Seth, Bobby, and Peterson, still in the first 3 positions. That's still with Jamie Walker being in the lead. It would still be those 3. But Christian would definitely be last of those 3 by a couple points, and you just want as many points as possible. Of course, that sounds very elementary, very easy to say, but for these guys in particular, they need everything they can get, because they don't know what Phoenix is going to bring next week, and that includes this week too. There's no bonus points, no win bonuses. It's what you lay down on the track. Of course, those wins feel a lot better than second places, but there's only 1 point between first and second, so second place still isn't a bad points day, considering the way the format for these points are in this series. So seeing those 2, Christian Peterson, Tommy Ryan, still continuing to battle for turns 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, I should say. I have a good feeling that Christian's just not going to be able to do anything about it as we look back forward to the lead. Jamie Walker across the start-finish line, and only 3/10 separate those 2. It's going to be a quick exchange here to enter number 1. Seth goes down to the bottom of the track. The 88 stays on the top, but it's not going to even be a contest. Seth slides right in front of the 88, makes it look easy, and we'll have another lead exchange here on lap number 82.
Yeah, Seth would say thank you very much and walks right past Jim Walker for the lead right there as they're coming to complete lap 82 of the 167 for tonight's event. So yeah, it's just trying to stretch out the lead right now for Seth DeMercy. He's already pulled it out to a 3/10 gap already back to Jamie Walker. So now Jamie's going to struggle to get back towards Bobby Terrell, who's only less than a second behind, about 9/10 back. So Bobby Terrell's going to be eyeing Jamie Walker next few laps. There's a small gap between Christian Peterson and Bobby Terrell, about 2 seconds between those guys. So basically it's going to come down to, unless the pit cycles shake things up or even like a caution or so, but it might just come down to a 2-horse race right now, unless Christian Peterson and Tommy Ryan can really close the gap up on Seth and Bobby Terrell, as those 2 kind of have about a 2-second gap back to the next battle for that 4th. If these guys can catch up, otherwise this might be a runaway race for these top 2 guys who really need strong nights as they battle for the playoffs here, and they're just trying to battle. With Seth, especially from a rough night last week at Martinsville, and Bobby is trying to just build off that strong run he had last week at Martinsville, and he's going to maybe even hold that 3rd spot. Now moving up to 2nd as he's side by side with Jimmy Walker crossing the line right here for 5. You should see if he can get the runoff through the middle of the corner right here between 1 and 2, and it looks as though he Jamie Walker for that 2nd spot. So yeah, these 2 are just kind of trying to gap the rest. We just see if that gap will be closed, or just kind of stay stagnant for right now and just kind of see how the race plays out.
So now, as we cross tonight's halfway point of the race, Take a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation. iRacing has been developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. And in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and many, many more. And at this point, we'll take a look at your full field rundown on lap number 86. It's going to 87 here. Seth the Merchant, Bobby Terrell first and second. 1.3 seconds is the difference. 1.9 back to Jamie Walker, who actually just comes down pit road, so that'll be changing quickly and drastically. Put Christian Peterson into third, Tommy Ryan fourth, and John Jenkins in fifth. Scott Formosa, Scott Simley fifth or sixth and seventh. Jamie Walker finds himself now in the 8th place, but will continue to fall back. Dwayne Dunn, Greg Mall, that is your top 10.
And just behind those guys are going to be 11th man, Jody Green. Ralph Vandervorst is going to be 13th. Jeff Ryan, 14th last currently lap. Aaron Yoakum in the 8 machines will be 15th. Steve Herring, 16th. And Bob Gilwater actually gained a lap since he had his internet issues connected to the server. So now he's only 4 laps down in 17th, running at your 17 car field.
Let's have a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com to sign up today. And thanks to our friends at Red Bull Global Rallycross, you can now visit iRacing.com/membership and use the promo code PR-GRC for an opportunity to start your career on iRacing for 3 months for only $5. That's promo code PR-GRC. So at this point in the race, we'll take a moment to step aside, take a break, and do some calculations. We'll see you on the other side.
chair of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMary at the line.
Welcome back to the Texas Motor Speedway as Seth DeMerchant leads here on lap number 98 of tonight's BNC Lawn Landscaping Truck Series race. 3 races to go in the championship, and Seth DeMerchant looks to keep his championship hopes alive as well. Bobby Terrell, he sits in second by 1.7 seconds, and we want to remind you here tonight that coverage of the BNC United Sim Racing BNC Lawn Landscaping Truck Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSR TV. So whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, on the pit box, or from the spotter stand, Joel Real Timing is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a basic download or get the pro version today at joel-real-timing.com. So with Seth's biggest lead of the night and the biggest lead of any driver, it's going to be one of those races, like we talked about, that it's going to be important for tires and important to come down pit road. Michael, you said before before we came back on break that Jamie had a little bit of a situation.
Yeah, and I was just looking back over his pit strategy, and he came down just before we went to break right there. He came down at about lap 86, 87, somewhere in there. So if you do that right, it's either 101 laps or 100 laps on the dot. Sorry, 81 or 80 laps to go on the dot right there. So he has to basically pit 2 more times, so he'll be coming down about every 27 laps or so if he wants to really maximize his strategy, because he really can't stretch it laps on this fuel cell. As we said, 60% in the tank compared to a full fuel cell. So yeah, he really can't stretch it, as we see Dwayne Dunn come to pit road right now from the first one of the green flag pit stops around lap 100 right here. But yeah, so he's gonna have to stay on that strategy, otherwise he's just kind of stuck in no man's land. He's have to stick with what he's got. Maybe he can stretch it a few more laps and kind of shorten up that last run, so maybe he can stretch it like 34, 35 laps or so to see if he can get back on track. But other than that, he might get stuck where he is right there. And also you see Christian Peterson on pit road. So as you said, like I said a second ago, the green flag cycle is really starting to heat up right now as we're working lap 102.
As later, DeMerchant can basically come down pit road as late as he wants to and still have the biggest benefit of anybody by still being later if the caution possibly comes out. And he's got such a large lead that when he does get those new tires, he's going to be almost impossible to pass, especially when he's just back, when he gets right back on the track. But one driver that did come down pit road, Bobby Terrell, he's coming down to get service done on his machine. He needs to be very careful getting to the pit box, and he does get a nice smooth entrance to get the right sides jacked up on that number 14 machine, and the left sides as well. 2 other drivers that get into their spots, Jenkins and Ryan, they're both into their stalls as well. just about everybody, every single stop, 4 tires in field. I don't think we're going to see anybody change that, but it is good to at least take a good look and make sure everyone is doing that, because I think two-tire strategies is not going to work here. You're going to be way too loose, especially at turn number 2. It's just not going to be one of those strategies to work out. But this is going to be interesting to see for Bobby, because he usually pit after Seth. So one more stop for just about everybody, and Bobby's trying just a little bit something a little bit different, I think, as 57 does enter the pit road. I think he hit the cone though.
Yeah, just coming down pit road there, he knocked out the first cone, so he really had it hot coming down pit road, but he was able to get it down right pit road. He let it off just a little bit to see if it slowed down a little bit more, but he basically had to just barely make pit road, hitting that first commitment cone. But that is legal on iRacing as long as he stays within those lines. He's good to go, and as long as that yellow cone for the start of speed limit, he is good to go. So yeah, he was able to get down pit road. It really maximized his entrance once again. So yeah, he's gonna come down to pit road for what almost will be his second to last pit stop. And now Scott Formosa, who did lead, is coming down to pit road as well to make his second to last pit stop as well. So we just see how Seth the Merchant comes out compared to Tommy Ryan and Bobby Taylor. As you look around the outside, just past Seth the Merchant. Bobby Taylor just went by him out of turn 2 right there. So now he's got about a half a straightaway, half the backstretch lead right now. Bobby Taylor does back to Seth the Merchant. But then since Jamie Walker pitted once again, he'll take the lead over. So just trying to see where that gap is between him and Bobby Taylor for the top 2 spots, as Bobby's just coming across the finish line now. So now it's about 9 seconds. Short pitting these guys, and he's kind of gotten himself stuck into for pitting on lap 24 at the start, kind of getting stuck into that groove. It really hasn't worked out for him, as he's actually been losing time every time he's made a pit stop compared to these guys, just because of how old his tires are compared to his new tires these guys have on the trucks. Albeit Bobby's been on those tires for about 1 or 2 laps, so he has been able to close the gap some. Walker gets the lead every time it happens. Now it's down to 7.1 seconds of Jim Walker and Bobby Taylor. So just that strategy just is not working out. So if he can stretch that out one more, sort it out for a little bit longer, maybe get some more spots out of it. But yeah, just really struggling right there for Jamie Walker, and he's just having a rough night on the strategy end.
Yeah, and he's made his bed. He's got to basically got to lay in it at this point, and that phrase could not be truer in this situation in particular, just because there's nothing he can do about the strategy he's picked. And if you ever fold on your strategy, it's over in another way. So he's at least got to stay true to his strategy now. And if a caution comes out now, he's absolutely saved. Then he'll be able to come down pit road, and everyone will have to pit. And then it's a completely different story. But I just don't see that happening. I don't see any of these drivers having any issues except for maybe coming down pit road. But to put everything into perspective, with Jamie Walker needing to come down pit road at least one more time, maybe 2, like you were saying, this puts only 10 drivers on the lead lap here, as it actually looks like a good battle right in front of Bobby Terrell. I don't know if this is for position. Yeah, it is. Number 12 or number 10 of Jeff Ryan and number 22 of Matt Mara. That's actually for position on the off lap. So battles going everywhere between those guys. It was a quick battle, but it did happen indeed. And you know, Matt Mara is not as high up on the chart as he would like to, but at least that was fun for us to watch. And he's got one more, Ralph Van der Voist, and he's going to be the first driver a lap down. So he's definitely going to want to get that position right now. Yeah, so Matt's going to get to the inside of Ralph Van der Voist. He's got a lot of pressure time. Last time Ralph was in the 32-second bracket compared to a 31-second bracket for Matt Mara. He's going to easily breeze past the 66 of Ralph Van der Voist. So Matt's just going to hold on to that lucky dog spot for right now. And he may, if he can hold off Bobby Taylor for long enough, he'll be able to keep on the lead lap once Bobby gets the lead back from Jamie Walker. So that might be a strategy that Matt Mara might want to play with right now, as he's only got a few tenths back to Bobby Taylor. So a crucial battle right here between these two, even though it's not for position. Being able to hold on to that lucky a caution does come out, or even be able to hold on to the lead lap right there, just ahead of Bobby Taylor once he gets the lead. So yeah, Matt Mara's kind of in a tough spot right now. I mean, he's a little bit further off the pace than these guys are around him, and his next contender for position is Dwayne Dunn, and he's already comes to exit at 2, and Matt Mara's heading off into turn 1 right now. So he's got a big gap to close up right there, but he's really got a spot right now to be able to stay on the lead lap, or hope that Dwayne Dunn doesn't go lap down
so that way either he gets the lucky dog or he's able to stay on the lead lap for right now. So it's just a tough spot for Matt Maher to be in, as he's got Bobby Terrell breathing down his neck on fresher tires.
Jamie Walker is close, is having Bobby Terrell get closer and closer just about every single lap, and it was about 2.5 seconds. It was 1.8. Now it's 1 second, just 1 second between Bobby and Jamie. Jamie's done a little bit better job this time around holding his lead, but you got to remember also Bobby had pit earlier than I think these guys were intending, and for some of these guys, I think one more pit stop is what we're looking for, right, Michael?
Yeah, for basically everyone that pit on around the lap 100 to 105 mark. So basically, Bobby Terrell, Seth Merchant, Tommy Ryan, and those guys, yeah, should be able down for one more pit stop around 130 to 135, as you see right here. Matt Maher is going to go past Jim Walker, and that's also going to bring Bobby Terrell along as well. So it looks as though those guys, here's Bobby's side by side off the exit of 2 right here, and he's going to easily breeze past for right now on the exit of 2, but Jamie's going to hold it a quarter panel right there alongside down the backstretch, but he won't be able to do anything with Bobby on the entrance of 3, so Bobby's on that spot. But I believe everyone except for Jamie Walker only has one more pit stop left to go, and then at Jamie Walker 2 more times, actually 1 more time if he can stretch it long enough.
So Seth DeMerchant now looks at a 2.3 deficit to Bobby Terrell. And I'll tell you that I think this is going to work out for Bobby, just because now Seth is going to have to fight a little bit of lap traffic and Jamie Walker if Jimmy doesn't pit first. So we'll have to see when he comes down pit road. And Seth, I think, is actually going to be at a slight disadvantage here, and just because he's doing such a good job tonight. He's leading, I think, the most laps he's led in quite some time. I think he almost won one of the races earlier this season. If I do remember correctly, I have to take a quick look at it. But Bobby's had some really good opportunities to win the race, and he's in the championship hunt. He's in the top 3 right now, and if he was to win right now, I think it'd be very, very sweet for him. But, you know, one of those moments where it really starts to put the momentum on his side, and kind of makes him more of a favorite when it comes down to the championship at Homestead, which is only in a couple weeks' time. So with DeMerchant getting closer to Jamie, that gap between Seth and Bobby is pretty stable, and that's even with Matt Maher now getting passed by the 14, so now he's the first driver lap down. That's with all of that going on. 2.1 seconds still between those two guys as we round lap 118, coming to 117, rounding 118 this time.
Yeah, and that gap is slowly closing between Seth and Jamie right here for that second spot. And Seth is actually kind of closing up on Bob. All right there, he closed up 3/10 that lap Seth did for the lead right there. As you see, Seth's going to go past Jamie Walker for that second spot. So maybe Seth's trying to bring something back on the inside. Although Bobby did have a little battle right there with Matt Maher to put him a lap down. I don't know if that's a big factor in time. We'll see what the lap times are this time by. But yeah, Seth might have something here for Bobby if he can hold on for long enough. Especially if Matt Maher is going to be considerate and stay behind Bobby Terrell for right now. It's kind of be content to. Bobby Terrell ran 32.1 compared to Seth. Whoa. So the gap is definitely closing, but will Seth have enough tire to be able to reach Bobby Terrell? He's only close a lap or so right there, and even despite the 3/10 right there because of the battle with Matt Maher between the top 2. So it's just a matter of time to see if Seth can be consistent enough with his tires and his line and his momentum to see if he can get back up to. I mean, he's definitely got a lot of laps still as we're starting lap 120 right here, so he's just got 48 laps to go right here as they cross the finish line. So he definitely has enough time. It's just be able to play the pit, undercut Bobby on this next pit stop, maybe a lap or 2, as Bobby's been undercutting him the last few pit stops. So yeah, if Seth can kind of counteract that and try to get an advantage on Bobby, he might have a chance of getting his lead back during pit cycles and maybe win this race and steal it from him.
I think what Seth might do is actually maybe pit a lap later and try and get the advantage in the later run, but then you risk losing that time immediately as pit stops come out. Bobby, like I said, has definitely, Seth has, like in the past, I think has lost that battle on pit road, at least for now. He can definitely get that back, but Bobby definitely won it this time around, and that's something we haven't seen all night tonight. It's kind of been Seth's night, and at least right now, Bobby's logging some serious laps right now, and I think this is the part in the run where Bobby starts to kind of lose his steam. And so what Bobby wants to do probably is just hang on as long as possible, and then when Seth the Merchant catches him, that's when he dives down pit road. I mean, 1.2 seconds is good at the rate that Seth is catching him. I mean, this is probably the best outcome he could really hope for at this moment, as those guys run 1 and 2. And Tommy Ryan, he sits in the 3rd position. John Jenkins is 4th, and at the 5th position lies Christian Peterson. So Christian's still in the 5th position, and looks like he's actually getting passed by Jamie Walker, so that'll be that won't be for position, but that will be Jamie trying to just get everything back to what it should be. But I just can't imagine that Jamie's going to have enough to get back there, as he pit not too long ago.
Yeah, just basically what's going to happen here. That time, he was able to stretch it from 86 last time down to lap 119. He stretched it about 32, 33 laps, so he was able to kind of extend that run, as we were seeing he did on the previous run. So maybe he's going to try and shorten up the last run for this last pit stop, or maybe cut it in half, as he pitted on lap 119 right there. So maybe he's looking at about 20 laps or so on each run to the end right here, 22, 23, somewhere in there. But yeah, it's just a tough spot for him, as we've documented all night. He just hasn't been able to do. He kind of got him stuck out there after he burned up his right front at the start of the first run. So it's just kind of been a tough night for him. But back up in the lead right now, Seth has been able to, between him and Bobby Terrell, it's about 0.6 of a second this last time by. And he had a very quick lap compared to Bobby. So Bobby's struggling on his tire as they're coming down to the final pit stop window, which should be open in about 10 laps or so. So trying to hold on to the lead right now for Bobby Terrell is going to be really crucial. Seth's still closing in right here. Last time by, he gained another 1/10.5. So now it's down to half a second right now between the top two. So this might be the race battle right here. If Bobby can hold on to the lead right here, he actually hit apron a little bit right, and just kind of scooted on up and got loose off the corner, lost a lot of momentum. Seth's closing in lap by lap. So just trying to hold on to the lead right now is going to be really crucial for Bobby Terrell, and maybe even decide this race on pit stops.
He's more than just closing in, and I think you hit it right in the head. Bobby does not have the control of his truck that Seth has right now, and he really made a mistake going into turn 2 last time around by hitting that white part of the apron, or that gray part of the apron, where you can sometimes get a little bit of room. But here comes Seth right on the back decklet. He's going to go for it right here. This could be the race win right here in just about 30 laps or 40 laps time. Seth the Merchant goes down to the bottom, and he's going to still be under pressure. The 14's still there, but this is going to almost be secured for Seth. He's going to lead the lap, but the 14's going to be right there to his outside. But Seth has now cleared him. It's no contest anymore. The Merchant's got the position, and now we'll see how much Seth is able to pull from him, because that's going to be the big difference, is to see what when these guys come down pit road, the interval between them, because it was well over 1.5 seconds between Bobby Terrell and Seth the Merchant when they came down pit road. And now this is whenever we'll start to see if Bobby gets panicked and comes down pit road to try and goes down pit road early for this, or whether he plays it safe. Either way, I think he's at a big disadvantage now, as we are on lap 129. So at this point, right before it starts to get really interesting, we're gonna go to break. We're gonna catch the pit stops, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back to LSR TV's coverage here at Texas. Right now, Bobby Terrell finds himself coming down pit road. We said we'd cover pit stops. We're right on the money. Bobby Terrell comes down, is actually a little bit above speed, but he does bring it back down, so we'll definitely have to watch and see. A pit road penalty could be disastrous for his chances at getting a championship, as pit stops are starting to cycle through. Jeff Ryan finds himself coming down. Scott Simley's in. Greg Mall's about to leave. Actually is leaving right now. Jamie Walker is right back out on track and trying to see if his strategy is working. Seth the Merchant coming down pit road, makes it right on the mark. Steve Herring as well. It's a pit road party. Tommy Ryan comes down pit road as well.
Yeah, everyone's coming down with the lone. I was about to say the lone guy who stayed out was Seth, but now he's already out on pit road, so he went well. Did as well, because now he's coming down on that 136, going to 137 for him. So he's got that 4 tires fuel as well as everybody else did for the end of the race. So this should be the last pit stop for most of these guys on track right now. The last card that I see on track right now is Formosa, who is 3 and 4. I believe he has not made a pit stop yet. I can confirm with that right now. He has not. So he's holding the lead right now, trying to hope for something here, maybe a caution or something like that. It's an interesting strategy. He's usually been the last cycles and trying to see how many trucks he might put a lap down here if a caution were to come out. He's already got lapped up to the 8th spot right now, as timing and score are still trying to figure out where everyone is on track right now, as they're still got the pit cycles going on. But yeah, if Formosa does catch a caution here, this could really be interesting. See Tommy Ryan go past him as well as John Jenkins as well. So that means there'd only be 4 trucks on the lead lap, but 5 through 17 would be down. So that'd be interesting to see how that all really works out. And as you see right now, 57, after having a lap later, a pit stop, lost a lot of time to Terrell, and now he's looking to the back bumper of Bobby Terrell. It's closed down to about 0.3 of a second as they head off of turn 4 to start lap 139.
Remember, the difference in pit stops between those two, Terrell and DeMerchant, was much larger the last pit stops, but it was only 1 lap between Bobby Terrell and Seth DeMerchant, so they're on pretty equal ground, but that 1 lap of extra tires might be the difference. But once again, Bobby did a better job on pit road once again, and Seth is going to have to eat the difference, and we will, if it's like the rest of the race has been, this will be Seth's race to lose because of how good he is on the longer runs. But it's only going to be 27 more laps here that he's going to have to run. This isn't the longest run of the night. 27 laps is not the longest run of the night, and so that will actually be a little bit more in the wheelhouse of Bobby Terrell. Now, does not really count for driving harder at all, but I think this is definitely going to be put Bobby in a little bit better position to win his first race this season, and be one of the first drivers to win in the championship. That's not Seth and Christian Peterson. So for him, I'm sure there's a lot weighing on it, and I think there's a really big chance that he could go toe to toe with the 57 as Scott Formosa. He is going to be hitting pit road now, eventually leaving his pit box now.
And that will lead the hit to Bobby Terrell, who is just still barely ahead of Seth Merchant as we've been documenting right now. And that gap has now extended just a little as he can to Seth Merchant. It's about 0.6 or so right now. So those two will be your leaders on the track right now. And now I'm looking through the leaderboard right now. This is the 91 of John Jenkins has found himself up into the 3rd position. Out of nowhere, really. We haven't talked to him much tonight. Crept his way up, kind of as Bobby has done in recent races, but yeah, John's kind of crept up to the 3rd spot, just ahead of Tommy Ryan. And Scott Simley even as well has moved up to the 5th spot, so really seen a few drivers just kind of creep up into the top 5. They've been kind of hanging around the top 10 for the most part, but just really haven't been able to see where they've been able to hang out. But now they're kind of falling into the top 5 here as we're widening down the last few laps right here.
Yeah, and you have to wonder how much these pit stops are changing the game right now, and so some of these guys doing the regular pit stops may not account for only about 25 or so laps to go, and they won't have to, they could, a lot of these drivers I feel like could have pit a lot earlier. I think Christian Peterson did that. Dwayne Dunn did that. Did not pan out for the number 39 of Dunn, and really it still hasn't panned out for Christian Peterson either. He's going to try and get Skip Simley right here and try and secure a top 5, but I think anything more than that would be really stretching it for Peterson. I just think this is not his race tonight, as it's all about the 2 up front. And we've been talking about them basically half this race. It's been an ongoing deal between them, and looks like we're seeing Jamie Walker on the back bumper of the 14. I don't know whether that's a good thing for the 14 or not, but it's definitely putting a lot of pressure on him. And the 57 gets the 39. He's going to spin out in the grass. Caution should come out here as the number 91 is going to approach him. Caution is out. Caution is out. The 57 spins the 39 off turn number 4. We have our first caution of the night.
We've gone 143 laps now, and now we finally see our first caution tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. And this is though just a simple miscommunication there between the 57 to 39. As you look at the replay right now on your LSR TV replay, this is though Dwayne was just coming down off the banking on that high side. That just kind of slid up. To be fair, they just kind of came together. Dwayne came down and Seth came up. As you look at it, just came together. Didn't realize there's a miscommunication right there. But one thing that does save Jamie Walker. He just came down pit road on lap 137 to make his final pit stop of the night. But now that puts him back on the lead lap as he gets the lucky dog just behind Bobby Terrell. So interesting cautioning has shaken things up right here with an interesting top 10 as we're winding down the last few laps and coming down the pit stops right now as Bobby Terrell's going to lead him down.
What will be interesting about this is to see what race control or what happens with these guys who claims responsibility for the caution, because if no one if the person responsible for the last accident does not claim it, then it will be one of those 20 points deducted from your total amount of points, which means Seth DeMerchant would lose out completely on the championship. So that will definitely bring case implications, as we all like to say here. But Bobby Terrell leads company down into pit road slowly, might I add. The 57 has to back up. This is not good for him. Might lose a couple spots, and so the number 14, everyone getting 4 tires and fuel, I do believe. Right sides and left sides up. Looks like just about everyone's starting to come right out. Bobby Terrell's going to be first by a long while, and oh man, DeMerchant has just got eaten up by all these guys on pit road. Looks like it's going to be the number 14 of Bobby Terrell, the 91 of John Jenkins. Scott Simley gets 2 positions on pit road. Tommy Ryan 4th, and then finally Seth DeMerchant finds himself coming out of pit road 5th. Not the night, just definitely not the one the pit stop he wanted, as John Jenkins actually had the fastest pit stop of the night. Looks like we might have lost Michael here in the booth there for a little bit. No big deal. You can listen to my voice for the remaining of the race. If he doesn't come back, I guess that'll be all right. But we'll try and see if we can get him back here in just a little bit. But top 5 has changed completely now. Bobby Terrell, he'll still lead, but everyone behind him is going to be in completely different viewpoint, as everyone's starting to kind of rearrange themselves. And they looks like the wave around did go to Jamie Walker. So Jamie will be getting that lap back. He'll be right in the thick of it. He'll be able to get his pit stop done, and it'll be really good. So Michael back in the booth, may not be able to see anything, but Jamie Walker finally got his lap back, and think he'll be able to do anything with it?
With the spot he's in right now, he'll probably be on the edge of the top 10, so it's just going to be a really tough time to see if he can get through the field. We've seen a lot of good trucks up front with Seth DeMerchant, Bobby Terrell, and Scott Simley as well up in the top 5 as of late. So that's just going to be a tough battle for Jamie Walker to do. I mean, he definitely has a lot of laps to go, as we're just under 20 laps to go in the rest of this race right now. So yeah, just having this odd caution kind of put us in a weird spot right now. And as you said, the top 5 has really shaken up right here. So a lot of different faces we haven't seen up front for most of the race right now. And now it's Bobby Terrell, your leader, John Jenkins 2nd, Scott Simley 3rd, Tommy Ryan 4th, and Seth DeMerchant 5th. So, and we're still waiting to see if Seth's going to be able to hold his position due to that wreck. And we don't know if he's going to be able to take the caution on that one and get fall back to the back on the EOL or not. But that's just going to change the whole complexion of the rest of this race, as we're coming down to get 1 to go this time by. So, yeah, it's interesting caution, interesting timing of how the rest of this race is going to play out with Bobby Taylor taking over the lead right here. So leading down to the green on the restart with John Jenkins out of nowhere, just second place. He might steal himself a win right here if he really can dig on his last few laps right here. So yeah, it's a really interesting race to see how it unfolds the last 20 or so laps.
And the way the rule is stated is that if a driver does not claim the caution, they have to claim it. And so no driver has claimed the caution. So one driver, one of those two drivers will lose 20 points at the end of the night, which could be obviously detrimental to the chances of Seth getting a championship if that's how this goes. So we'll have to take a look at that. I think it's 20 points. I know it's a pretty hefty fine on points, but in this part of the season, this is not a time when you want to take a chance. So Seth feels very strongly that it was not his fault coming through turn 4. So that aside, it's Bobby Terrell, John Jenkins, Scott Simley, top 3 coming out of turn number 4 for possibly the last green flag run of the evening. It's up in the air, less than 20 laps to go, and a great start by Bobby Terrell. Not such a good one on the outside for John Jenkins. And look at Scott Simley in 3rd. He needs to win this race to have his championship in his own destiny as they go down to turn number 1 and 2.
And Simley's in a really good spot right now. He holds on to that second spot just ahead of the side-by-side battle for the 3rd spot between John Jenkins and the 57 Seth the Merchant as they head off into 3s. John holding on the outside there in the 91 machine as the whole inside lane's kind of trained up for the most part. The 57 Seth the Merchant was able to take that spot for now. As soon as I said, though, the 91 peeks to the outside once again. He's at a quarter panel alongside, and if he's not careful, Tommy Ryan might put it 3 right here. He took a peek down to the inside, down the dog leg on the front stretch, nothing doing there, and now he's going to get past the 91 of John Jenkins right now as they're still side by side going off of turn 4. So Seth the Merchant's holding to that 3rd spot as he's still. Other than that, everyone's pretty much single file out like it was at the start of the race as well. But Christian Peterson now looks to the inside of the 91 of John Jenkins. So it looks like the outside lane just has no momentum on the restart there, but looks like the 91 might find a hole right there just ahead of Christian Peterson for that 5th spot. So yeah, everyone on the bottom trying to get as much grip as they can. So 23 hits the back up with the 91. That's going to stack up the field right behind him. Scott Formosa to check up really hard, and that kind of checked up J.D. Walker as well. As Tyler Ryan's on the wall off of turn 2, so a lot going on right here as they're closing in these laps.
Yeah, and that might have to do with the 23 getting into him, and now the 6 is going to go up the track. He's going to start walking up the track just a little bit, and I think the 6 came down the track just a little bit to show a little bit of displeasure, and I think Christian had to get out of the edge just a tiny bit. These guys are getting very chaotic here in the last goings of this race, and it is absolutely intense. Look at this pack of 4 drivers right here, and none of them can make a mistake. Oh, there goes one mistake. There goes Scott Formosa to the outside wall, and definitely not what he wanted to see. He's going to lose a lot of momentum here, and he needs a good race tonight, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen for him as everyone in front of him continues to battle. Jamie Walker, he needs to get another few positions, and Bobby Terrell wins this race. It'll be huge for him, but P2 right there, just Seth the Merchant on the bottom, Scott Simley on the top. These guys have been battling side by side for the last few laps, but looks like the Merchant's going to have a huge advantage coming out of the turn, and he may clear him just barely on the back straightaway. Simley did not lift in any regard, and they are still going at it, but the Merchant's going to have that position. He's going to set his sights on Bobby Terrell. It's going to be a hard-fought one, but I just think that Bobby Terrell's in too good of a position to let this one go. We are almost at 10 laps to go, and I think Bobby's going to try and be a little bit more reserved right now, save those tires until Seth gets there. That way he can run the outside the way he wants to, or run the inside. Just depends. But Scott Simley may not be completely done with Seth the Merchant right now as he goes into turn 3.
Yeah, Simley's trying to find a way around the 57 machine as these laps are winding down right here. And his playoff hopes are right in front of him right now as he's trying to get to the lead right now. He's trying, I guess he's going to follow Seth the Merchant right now for the moment as he's still riding in that 3rd position right there. So yeah, he might just follow him until he gets Bobby Terrell, then it's on from there. Or he might even attack this 57 Seth the Merchant as he closes in. He's trying to do like an arcing line compared to Seth. Seth tries to ride the bottom and get as close to the apron as he can, while Simley enters a little bit higher than he does and try to arcs it down to the bottom right there, trying to get as much momentum as a run off the corner as he can. But yeah, it looks like these guys are actually closing in on Bobby Terrell for the lead right now. Even though it's gradually closing in between the leaders, this time by, it looks as though Seth gained about almost a tenth, about 0.08 of a second out of Bobby Terrell's lead. So the gap is definitely closing as we're on 11 to go right now this time by. So yeah, the battle for the lead might not be over for the rest of this race, but let's see if Bobby Terrell can hold on to that lead and get himself set up very well for the last race before the final cutoffs for the championship.
Bobby Terrell has finished second 4 times this season, has not gotten himself to victory lane, 10 laps, and we'll see if he's able to break that or whether he finds himself in that position again. I have a feeling that this is going to be a battle for that win here just very shortly, and I think DeMerchant's got himself a good amount of speed and might have the better truck at this point in this race. And Merchant comes through turns 3, and he's got a good look on Bobby Terrell coming in through turns 3, and I just don't think Bobby's able to keep it on the bottom right there, and that's going to leave the door open for Seth DeMerchant on the front straightaway, but Bobby's not going to let him have it as easily as he would earlier on in the race. This is the tough part of this race of how much do you push the issue here, and I think Seth is going to be able to just back up the corner a little bit and have some good momentum off of turn number 2, but looks like Bobby will hold on for now. DeMerchant looks to the inside just to kind of give a little jab at him. Right now, it's those two right here, nose to tail, coming out of turn number 4, and Seth DeMerchant's got a huge run off of 4, but he's not able to do anything with it yet. He's going to try and go to the outside, but does not have the nose quite yet as they get to 1.
Yeah, that might not be a favorable position as you see Seth try to do a crossover almost. He's going to get to the inside, and he will get the inside of Bobby Terrell. Terrell's not able to hold that bottom lane very well to the middle of 1 and 2. So now they're door to door as they head off to turn 3 right now. But Bobby has got the advantage right now. But we've seen tonight the outside lane hasn't been the place to be as everyone gets beat there. Actually, Bobby loses a lot of ground, but he's still able to keep that nose on the outside of the 57 machine. So he's keeping that fender right on the edge of the 57 door right there as they're coming down just to get 7 to go this time by. 7 thousandths of a second separating your top 2 right there. As now they're still side by side heading off to 1 and 2, but still Bobby goes through the bumps right there of 1 and 2 in the high lane, and he's going to lose that battle right there to Seth DeMerchant. So Seth's now got about a truck length and a half gap back to Bobby Terrell for the lead right now. So will Bobby be able to catch up on the last few laps right here, or will he even lose more spots right here? You see Scott Simley and the 91 of John Jenkins, even Christian Peterson as well. Your top 5 are all starting to close up right here as your top 5 are now separated by just over half a second. But now looking back up front, your leader Seth DeMerchant starting to extend that gap as it's now up to almost 0.3 of a second as they head off of turn 2.
DeMerchant has definitely put the wick on this one with 5 laps to go this time by, and you've got to imagine that Bobby Terrell has got to feel sick at least a little bit to his stomach, the fact that he had a good lead and it just has not panned out from the start of this when he led the last restart, and now he's got a lot of other drivers behind him that want his position. Although Bobby's still in a good position in the championship, can't risk everything now for this at least at this point. While Scott Simley needs to risk everything because he's not in a good position. He needs to get every single position right now as the guys surrounding him are in front of him in the point standings. So DeMerchant, Terrell, Simley, Jenkins, and Peterson top 5, and Peterson is absolutely hungry. He is doing just about everything but run over the guys in front of him. He has been so close to getting into the fenders of these guys. He's got some good inside runs, but nothing has been able to really stick for him. And I think he might be stuck in 5th place the rest of the night. John Jenkins threw it into turn number 1. Almost got Scott Simley, but now he's going to be on the returning end of this as Peterson's going to look to the inside. Does not have the momentum right now. So go through turn number 3, and I think this stack of 4 is either going to implode or something, because this is super close between all these drivers. And hey, bring Jamie Walker right into this one. He's right there on the back bumper, Christian Peterson.
Yeah, these 5 trucks from second all the way back to 6th, they're still fighting hard as you see Christian Peterson's blocking Jamie to the inside. He blocks him all the way down to the apron. And Christian's going to hold that spot for now, but I guarantee Jamie's not happy with Christian Peterson with that strong move to the bottom. So let's see if Jamie can get back to the back bumper of the 23 of Christian Peterson in these closing laps. But now we're coming down to get 2 to go this time by. And you see right now, Christian Peterson took advantage of the mistake of John Jenkins going to turn 3 right there. He's going to come up and door him almost on the exit. It's really tight. And they really get close together right there, but Christian Peterson will lose out to that spot right now. as they're still behind Bobby Taylor and Scott Simley. But John Jenkins is impatient right now. He really wants to get past the 68 of Scott Simley. He tried it, nothing doing there, but that kind of get open door once again for the 23 of Christian Peterson. So now they're side by side once again for that 4th spot. The 91 and 23 are giving no room to each other right now as they head off through 3 and 4, still side by side. The 91 to use the momentum off the high side to try to get alongside the 23. But coming around the final corner right now, Seth the Merchant is going to come take the white flag this time by us. Still got the battle going on for 4th.
White flag displayed in the air for Seth the Merchant. His fate is almost sealed for another win in the chase. He'll definitely be the most winningest driver in this chase by far, and may even seal it up tonight. And now the battles behind them are still in. See if Bobby Terrell, Scott Simley, what they'll do. They may still finish 2nd and 3rd, but John Jenkins, what will transpire between himself and Christian Peterson? But that doesn't matter when you're the leader. Seth the Merchant comes off turn number 4, and he will win tonight's race at Texas. A thriller at the end, and it looks like the Merchant or Peterson did not get it. Oh my goodness, he just got destroyed in the wall after the race. I'm really unsure about that, but regardless, Seth the Merchant wins tonight's race after 167 laps, and we'll have to take a look and see exactly what happened there, whether it was playful or not. But I cannot believe that Seth was able to charge Bobby down that much after starting in 3rd on that last restart.
Yeah, that's a great drive right there by Seth the Merchant. He had all the odds stacked against him right there after dominating most of this race, and he was able to get past Bobby Terrell, as he's kind of been able to do all night. He's kind of had Bobby's number, especially on tire wear, and he's just able to move on past Bobby, coming down to the last few laps right there, and was able to hold on to the win. But yeah, I was watching the 23 and the 91 come off of turn 4 in the last few laps right there. They got really close, and they doored each other come off the corner, and 23's Christian Peterson got really loose right there and was able to hold on to the spot. But then come across the finish line, looks like the idiot Jim Walker showed his displeasure from the block to the front stretch and kind of just doored him coming across the finish line right there. So those two, as you visibly can see, not happy with each other after that race, as they finish 5th and 6th tonight. So yeah, that'll be a storyline we'll have to watch the rest of the last 2 races right here, and especially going to Phoenix, where it matters to see who can make the cutoff line and who won't.
Drama settles after this one's over, and I think for us it's to a lot of surprise. This is not a league we typically see that in, but after that dust is settled and that ship has set sail, we'll see. We'll look top to bottom, but where your favorite drivers finish. Seth the Merchant finishes 1st tonight. Another victory for him, as he's done so many times in this championship. I do believe this will be his 9th win of the season, so he's won quite a bit. Bobby Terrell finishes 2nd. Scott Simley 3rd. 4th place goes to John Jenkins. Christian Peterson 5th. Jamie Walker will finish in the 6th position with Tommy Ryan 7th. Scott Formosa 8th. Greg Mall finishes 9th, and then Jody Green finishes out the night in 10th position.
Matt Mara finishes 11th. Dwayne Dunn, we saw him earlier up in the race, up in the top 10 fighting hard, but he's going to come home with 12th, 1 lap down. Jeff Ryan, quiet night for him, finishes 13th, a lap down. Ralph Vandervorst, 14th. Steve Herring, 15th. Bob Gillenwater, 16th. And right after 17 truck field is going to be the 8th machine of Randy Yoakum, 17th.
That's been a look top to bottom at your LSR TV finishing order. I don't know if we had the results at the show, but we'll definitely. I think that'll basically do it for us for now. We'll talk to the top 3: Seth the Merchant, Bobby Terrell, and Scott Simley, as those drivers finished in your top 3 finishing positions. We'll be right on the other side of things here at Texas. You've been watching LSR TV's coverage of the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn Landscaping Truck Series. We'll be with your top 3 finishers in just a moment.
Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMary at the line.
To the point.
Uh,
Welcome back to LSR TV. Due to some technical difficulties, we're going to be having to skip the top three finishers of Seth the Merchant, Bobby Terrell, and Scott Simley, and we'll close tonight's broadcast just as quickly because of our technical difficulties. To keep up with everything on LSR TV, you can go to livesimracing.com, or you go to our Facebook, Twitter, and catch us on all of that with the United Sim Racing B and C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. And we also want to thank our everybody at home on the LSR TV crew, Joe Real Timing, and everyone else who makes it happen with LSR TV. So from all of us here in the booth, myself, Austin Coote, Michael Guerrilla, and Andrew Cardinal in the production trailer, we say thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you at the next track.